Welcome back to the channel, everybody. How you doing? I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here. Today we are going to talk about books I regret not reading earlier. I have 4 books on this list that I actually really thought about this for a minute before I decided to make this video. And I was like, man, do I have like 10 or 15 books on here that I'm like, man, why didn't I read this before? But I realized I only have 4. And who knows, maybe in a couple years from now, maybe like 3 years from now, I'll revisit this video and then talk about books I wish I did this earlier, but just because every day I'm reading something new. I'm always reading books, so my opinion might change in a couple of years. But these are 4 books I'm like, man, I wish I read these way earlier. Especially the first one on this list. I wish I read this maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I really do. It still is in my mind, and I've read this book 6 or 7 months ago, and I'm like, man, I wish I read this book when I was a teenager. And that is The Catcher in the Rye. This is a classic for a reason. It's a very good book. It's a book with no plot, but that's okay because you don't need a plot. Sometimes books you just don't need plots and it's just you're learning from the character. And I actually think those are probably one of the better books, is the character. Sometimes plots are just not necessary and you just have small little small little things that happen in each one of these books for it to keep moving forward, and that's about it. But you just learn and follow this character, and that's what this book is literally about. You follow a character named Holden and you just want to wring his neck because he's absolutely annoying and he's just a crybaby. That's the truth. That is the whole truth of this book, and I'm not going to sit there and sugarcoat it, but I really do wish I read this book before. I wish I read this book 5, 6, 7 years ago because of how impactful this character is, and you just follow him through this whole book. There's so many elements of just random things happening to him because of all his choices, and he still doesn't process any of it. And it's so good. It's so deep and hateful of this character, but you as the reader, you either relate to him or you don't relate to him, and I hope you really don't relate to him because Holden's not a good character. When I was younger, I kind of was Holden in that situation. I was very hateful. I was spiteful towards every single thing in my life, and I was just like, why, God, why? But as you grow and you mature and you get older and you take a lot of your own responsibilities, you learn, hey, it's going to get better. You gotta stop hating the world, and maybe the world will start loving you. That's just something that you can really think about, and that's where this book aligns. Every time I go on Goodreads, and if I see any reviews of this book of people giving it 1 star, and they're like, this book sucks, there's no plot. That's the point. There is not supposed to be a plot for this book. Like I said at the beginning of me talking about this, I kind of like books where there's not much of a plot, and you're just following the character. It's so deeper than that, and it's just great. Speaking of books with no plot, this is another one. The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I read this one in December. This is my first Cormac McCarthy book, and this book is the definition of no plot. I'm realizing a lot of Cormac's books are kind of not filled with a lot of heavy plot. You're literally just following characters in this. It's sort of Lord of the Rings. You got a man and the boy going south. Why? Don't know. That's it. Lord of the Rings, homeboy and his crew have to go destroy a ring. That's the plot. And only why I'm making this comparison between the two is because they're both the same thing. Essentially, you're just walking. But when you're walking with these characters, you're learning about these characters. And the way that Cormac McCarthy can do these things is because of the way he can write. And you're just following these 2 characters. You are literally following these 2 characters that you do not know their names through this post-apocalyptic world, where other writers probably would have wrote this way more differently and more in depth in a way where you have other characters, they have names, they have full backstories, but at the end of the day, you kind of don't really care about their backstory. And if you do, that's the beauty of this book, is you are just sitting there like, oh man, I want to know more. But the way that Cormac McCarthy writes this book, you don't really know more. There is little bits and pieces of it. I really do like it. I just love how simple he writes this book, and that's why I really love. I also think this book is a great book for fatherhood, for especially a father-son relationship. I just think fatherhood in this book is so strong and powerful. Me, myself, love reading it. Am I a father? No. But I will be a father eventually. That is something I would love to be in the future. But when I read this book, I just felt ingrained of how much the man truly loves the boy, how much he loves his son. So reading this, yes, there is no plot. It's literally just 2 characters walking to the south. Why? Don't really explain why. It's a really good book. I recommend everyone to read it. The next book on this list is Vagaban. I actually just finished Vagaban for the winter, I think, or was it spring? I think it was my winter one. A lot of these books are a lot recently than I thought it would be. But Vagaban kind of falls in line with these are the last two books. You follow Musashi. Now all Musashi wants to do is become the greatest swordsman. That's it. That's the plot. But again, these kind of books are so deep because as long as you follow the characters, as long as the characters are well written, you don't really care about the plot. And I'm not trying to sit there and say, oh, I'm way smarter than you, so I understand the book. No, I'm not saying it, but the people who give a lot of books 1-star reviews and they're like, this book sucks because there's no plot, or just every time I see someone that says this book sucks in a review, I kind of just write it off, especially if it's a book that seems like there's no plot, it doesn't make sense, because I'm like, you just didn't understand the book. That doesn't mean the book is bad. Maybe it's just you. And I have a video coming out about classic books, and I cannot wait for that because it's gonna be fun. With me, when I think of Vagaban, the plot is very simple and you're just following Musashi through this whole story. The way that the story is written and the art, there's so many times where you just see Musashi's just walking and there's only like 1 or 2 words said in like 10 pages. But you just see the beautiful artwork of the landscape of just where Musashi's just learning to be more than what he is. He learns about his anger. He learns how to be calm and focused, and all of it just so emotionally, spiritually, all the emotions of it and the spiritual power that's in Vagabond that just grows inside of you. That's why when I tell people, like, especially a lot of younger men that deal with a lot of these kind of issues, deal with this of just trying to find their identity for masculinity, I'm like, you should read Vagabond, because Vagabond is going to help you understand so much that you might not understand yourself. So when I read Vagabond, I just wish I read it when I was younger. This is a book out of all 4 of these, I wish I read this when I was probably 19 or 20. I really, really do. I think I would change my whole view on a lot of things in my life, but I read it now and I'm towards the tail end of where Musashi is right now in this book. That's where my life feels like, where I feel emotionally. And it's just beautiful seeing that whole story and you're like, wow, what an arc. This last book is interesting because the only reason I say it's just interesting because it doesn't fit the other 3. This is a book I wish I read when I was 20, 21, or even 22, just because it's a really dark book, but the reality of how it's written would have, I think, helped me as being a writer, just being a better writer. And that is Flowers in the Addict. It's about child abuse, neglect, all of it, and just the strong will of this main character named Kathy of trying to survive with her siblings in this attic for years. And you get to really feel the in-depth of this family's bond with these characters. The reality of just thinking they have hope. One day mama's gonna save you. One day mama's gonna let you guys all out. But the reality is, mama does not love you. Mama wants you guys away. And that's the truth of the matter. This book is so deep that now it's like, wow, I gotta read the rest of the series. I've been wanting to read V.C. Andrews for a while, and I bought a lot of her books when I went south to visit my parents. So I will be reading more of those. Probably in 2026 is when I'm going to read a lot more V.C. Andrews. This is a series I want to finish. I want to keep grinding through because I honestly didn't know it was a series. But with Flowers in the Addict, holy crap. It was so deep. There was so many times where when I would get home from work and I would get done eating and doing whatever, I would sit there and read from like 6:30 until bedtime because I just couldn't stop reading the book. I was just like, wow, this book is so dark. And the writing of it is amazing. It's just so many good things about this book that I just wish I read when I was younger. I'm really glad I read it now. The more and more I keep reading these kind of different books, I'm just glad that my reading has explored different elements, I should say, into the realm of just literature. When I first started reading, it was strictly like Stephen King. I don't even read Stephen King anymore because I got some opinions about that. I would like to get into reading more of his books. I would like to do like all of his books eventually. But right now, I don't know. I just don't really feel like it. But with this book, wow, Flowers in the Attic, really, really good. Actually, it was one of my favorite reads of 2024. Which is funny if you guys notice, like these books all were 2024. I never thought I would read books that still leave such a big impact on me like these 4 books have. Especially Vagabond. I'm going to get Musashi tattooed on me. And I can't even say especially Vagabond because The Road is really impactful. So is The Catcher in the Rye, and so is Flowers in the Attic. All 4 of these books play such a good element into my life now, my view on a lot of things, and it's just awesome. If you guys made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. What do you guys think about the books I regret not reading earlier? What books do you guys have that you regret? Are they the same books or are they not? Let me know down below. And of course, make sure you guys stay safe, stay humble, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay weird.